All right, today we got a TVP on Polestar. I'm looking at one of my own games. This is a replay analysis. We did a two-fact cross map, and it doesn't go so well. Spoilers alert. But there's going to be one key concept in here I just want to point out and illustrate for everybody because it's not intuitive at all. And the concept is the more goons the Protoss makes, the better chance you have of defeating them with the 5-fact push. Okay, and we'll see that in action in this game. So we go for a standard build of 9 depot, 11 racks, 12 gas, 13 scout. Okay, pretty standard. His probe comes at this timing, and based on this, I tend to assume it's not close spawn, but it's a second scout of, basically from cross map. So this tells me it's less likely to be Zealot. This could be something like Nexus first or a second scout from a normal build, which is a core build. And it is Zealot first, but I guess what I'm saying is if he scouted you really fast, then the chance of it being Zealot increases because they need to know where you are to send their Zealot. And that's exactly what he did. He sent this out fairly early, scouted the close spawn, scouted the second one. Now he knows where I am. Okay. And I don't really do in scout. I kind of just go around the map. It varies. People have strong views about either. We stay on gas here. We're going to stay on gas, and so we can make our second factory. I just make it in his face. I was basically, this is a practice game, and I was just trying to practice, work on my 2-fact. I don't need it to be hidden, right? I just want to see, you want to see what happens when you hide it. You want to see what happens when they know about it. You want to see what happens when it's cross map. When you're practicing a build, you want to know about all the possible configurations. You're not playing like to win per se. You're playing to kind of get better at the build. So we drive out Zealot, we kill his probe, he killed one of our SCVs and delayed our second factory by a little bit, and obviously he gained the scouting intel that we're doing 2-fact, and so he's going to be able to respond appropriately. 3 Marines, a Vulture, and SCV. With good micro, we'll be able to take on that Zealot and the Goon, especially because the Zealot was damaged from the earlier trade. Against this force right here, this force right here against a Zealot, Goon, and a Probe, you're going to need some help. All right, you're going to need to pull it back, or you're going to need to get some free shots with the Vulture before the engage even begins to have a chance there. But because I knew his Zealot was around half HP or so, and his Goon just came and his Probe was dead, I felt confident that this force would prevail, which it did. His second Goon's rallied across the map. He's starting a Nexus, getting range. He's gonna probably make the second gateway here. So his response against the 2-fact is to make the second gateway before the Robo, to try to get his unit count up, to just kind of repel me. But very interesting, he's only at 16 probes. I think he cut a probe for the 14 Zealot, obviously, but then he's cutting a bit now for the extra gateway. And I think his thinking is probably like, I'm going to have an expansion up. I'm going to be able to replenish my probes. As long as I hold this 2-fact all in, I should be fine, and I should be able to get ahead. So that's probably what he's thinking. Very unfortunate we lose our first Vulture here, even though it's a 2-fact build. Oh, and by the way, with this 2-fact build, let me just explain it real quick. The aim is to get the tank off the add-on on the first fact and Vultures from the second fact. Make 2 tanks and then rally Vultures with the 2 factories. So you're moving out with 1 tank, 1 Vulture, whatever Marines you have, and an SCV or 2. And then you try to get out to some part of the map that is farther than your base. You may or may not wait for the second tank to continue on. You have to kind of make a decision. But after that second tank, you're just rallying Vultures and you're researching speed after mines. Okay, this is one variation of a 2-fact. The other variation, we can make a different video about it, but it's going to basically be 3 tanks and rally vultures. It's going to hit slower but harder, and so it's going to be better at certain things, worse at certain things. In my opinion, the 3 tank variant is probably better for cross map, but here his Zealot came into our base, so we kind of had to make a first vulture out of our factory before even getting add-on, just to hold the Zealot, and then make the add-on after. So the build's a little like variant of a variant already off the get-go. So, but the important part of this is not the exact build, but kind of like what we do with the build and then how we follow up. And then I want to demonstrate that concept where the Protoss makes too many Dragoons, which is too common. Alright, so we're going across the map and we're kind of taking this circular route just so that he doesn't see exactly where we're coming from. I think this is probably unnecessary at the end of the day because he cannot have obs out at this time at 6 minutes. But, you know, I think during the game I was thinking, alright, if he had like 5 goons here and he's trying to, you know, kite me back all the way to his base, if we go around, maybe we can skip that kiting for a little bit. So maybe I over-engineered the push, and it ends up being slower than it should have been. But in this case, we do end up with the 2 tanks before engaging, and as you can see, we're rallying vultures, and we're actually getting siege here because it's cross map, and I felt like I needed some extra punch, and to even engage with his goons. I don't know if that's, you know, speed doesn't really help you fight. Speed helps you kind of cause chaos once you're already even in the fight or already ahead in the fight. But I think Siege lets you take the fight a little better. So that's why I went for Siege here. And here we send an advanced vulture before our force gets there to get his goon count and get a situation reading on his wall in. So now we have a really good sense of what we're facing. We pour units together before going in. We don't just, you know, go in a conga line, and we're very methodical right here. Like we don't rush it or anything, okay? So we siege up, get a few free shots in, lay some mines, and we're just gonna take this slow, right? Even though we're 2-facting, we do not feel pressure to go all in and just rush in and as soon as possible. Even though, you know, of course, like at the back of your head, you're thinking, man, he's just making more units, he's mining off of 2 bases, etc., etc. It actually is better to take it slow and steady, even in this case. And we're doing a great job here of taking it slow and steady, right? Like he cannot get to our tanks. We have mines, we have vultures, all shielding the tanks. And now he has to run his probe. So he's not mining on 2 bases anymore. If you look at the stats, we have basically the same worker count. That means we're at the same economy. So again, no need to rush. But I make a big mistake here. I unsiege. He sees that with his obs. I move up a little bit to try to get a better angle, and in this split second, he comes up, gets a mine drag. Oh no, we lost the first tank. Oh no, we lost the second tank. Wow. All right. This is an example of like just being a little bit too greedy, a little bit too slow, and it just cost us both our tanks. And now instead of the push potentially being game winning or doing massive damage, it's going to be so easy to bust for him. There's only 1 tank left, and so this push is basically over. I'm going to fast forward a little. He gets a shuttle out, and yeah, the push is dead. Okay, so he has 2 bases. I just started halfway my CC. The game goes on, but we could have done that a lot better if we were just more patient. And we had patience at the beginning, we had patience in the middle, but after his probes ran, instead of taking it slow, we somehow like got greedier and wanted to win even more. So that wasn't great. After the 2-fact, I'm just trying to get our usual infrastructure up. You know, the eBay was done, get armory, get our academy, get up to our 5 factories. It's basically, you're trying to put it back into a normal game state, even though it's anything but normal. This Reaver comes in, kills like 10 SCVs or something like that. I'm in the low 30s. Low 30s is the level you're at for a 5-fact all-in that hits at around like 7 minutes or something, 7 or 8 minutes. So now we're 12 minutes in and we're 30 SCVs. So I feel like we need to do something. I'm going to turn vision off here. Actually, I'm going to rewind it because I want to really emphasize this point in this video of checking his goon count. So, okay, so here, the Reaver's doing massive damage. We feel like we're super screwed. We have a decent tank count at least, and our factories are done, and we have 2 scanners. So, you know, what are we gonna do? Try to rebuild our economy from 30 SCVs in shambles, or try to do something? We decided to try to do something, and check this out. This vulture I sent as advanced scout to see what he had. We saw 10 goons. Obviously during the game, I didn't count 10 goons, but I just saw the goons and I thought, holy shit, that's actually a lot of goons. So this is good for us. I'll explain why. If he has this many goons, it means that he cannot have, that means he spent all his money on goons, and he did not spend his money on, say, 8 gateways. He did not spend his money on having arbiters coming out, storm coming out. Like, his tech's going to be late or his gateway count's going to be low. One of these things, right? Because goons are expensive. Protoss would like to not build so many goons. They would rather greed on nexuses, gateways, or tech. So this told me that I could have a fighting chance with my push. Okay, if there were fewer goons, then I would actually be more worried, because it's like, man, he probably has 12 gateways, rallying stuff coming out soon is not here yet. Okay? So that's the part that's kind of counterintuitive. and now here we see another 10 goons. And let me just make sure. Yeah, it's a different 10 goons, right? It's a different set of 10 goons. So now I'm really thinking, okay, there's no way his gateway can be high. His gateway count can be high. And let's check it. Wow, look at that. We have 3 gateways and a 4th building, right? Like, because we saw his 20 plus goons, we knew that he cannot rally a bunch of speed zealots from 10 gateways, because that's really what crushes the 5 fact. It's not the high goon count, it's rallied speed zealots. That's gonna trade with your tanks and then eventually whittle it down and break it. Tanks and rallied speed vultures, on the other hand, from 5 factories, trades extremely well with pure goons. So those are the 2 factors you should keep in mind when deciding whether your push is going to be successful or not. Normally, after losing all those SCVs and your cross map, you might think, wow, I'm never going to be able to push him. What I need to do is like rebuild my economy, turtle up, and try to play out a long game, get upgrades. But here we're going against that conventional thinking, right? That automatic thinking. We're actually going to push the more goons we see. Okay? So having the advanced scout is very good because it lets your tanks move as far as possible without pre-sieging. So I'm sieging outside his high ground already. That's my first siege. So this is very, very good with this timing. You save like probably minutes. And so now we can take it a little slower. And you know what he's doing? He's trying to get his gateway count up right now, and he's getting leg speed, but it's hard, right? You're trying to build a lot of gateways while the Terran's coming in, and you have to micro your goons back. You have to think about the shuttle, the Reaver micro, while you're trying to make all these gateways and do all these things. And it's just like you're putting a lot of pressure on the Protoss here. And look at these goons, right? There's 20 of them, but if you have enough mines and vultures in the way of these few tanks, they just can't get in there for a good trade. Even with the Reaver sometimes. Like, Reavers take a lot of APM to micro too. So this is putting extreme pressure on the Protoss. And we're not too concerned about these mines on top of our tanks here. And the reason for that is because we haven't seen any Zealots yet, and we knew the Reavers were inside the shuttle. So I wasn't too worried about that. Now that the speed shuttles, the Zealots are coming out, now we should worry, but kind of like we had this awesome trade with these 20 goons. Right, I mean, that's just like an amazing trade. And that, again, that just goes to show you that Vulture tank fights superior counter goons like very well if you're sieged and in position. Let's rewind it like 30 seconds just to emphasize this point. So look, we're down 30 supply, okay? 12 of that is probes, so maybe we're down 20 supply. But again, this is just extremely efficient trade. And it's because he only has goons and a couple of Reavers. So if you can snipe the Reavers, which I will be targeting them right here, then all that remains is goons. And like, they just splat, right? You don't even need to focus fire because there's no zealots drawing your tank fire away. The tanks left on their own will just crush like this. And we're still down 20 supply, but I mean, it's gonna take him like 10 years to rebuild those 20 goons. So what we've done is went from super behind from that Reaver drop, if you remember, where we lost like 10 to 15 workers. Now we're kind of like equalized. And we're still rallying from 5 factories building a 6. You know when the Protoss starts making DTs, they feel like they need to do something special or desperate. Like they can't just beat you conventionally. So that's always like a good sign. You just need to counter it with a quick scan. Now we're sieging his 3rd. And he's rallying out that first round of Speed Zealots, but he already lost all his goons. So Speed Zealots do nothing against the Terran army without goons. Like you can just micro it all. Like those Zealots did nothing, right? Those like 10 Zealots that died. He needs to make, he needs to replenish his goons, and you see on the production tab, he's making 7 goons now. So 7 goons are going to come out, but goon build time is same as tank build time. So we've reinforced our push now, taking down his 3rd. He's building another 6 goons, right? He wants to get back up to his beefy goon number before pumping Speed Zealots. But again, that's so much time. It's because we traded so well with those 20 goons right there. And it's kind of a wrap at this point. We stabilized our RCVs. We got up to 6 factories. We have 1-1 upgrades done. We did a speed vulture run by, killing all his probes, and his probe count is like down to the 20s. And we're continuing his choke and killed his 3rd and found his 4th. So all of that was possible because of the goon concept. Okay, that's why I wanted to make this video, just to illustrate that point. So next time you see a Protoss have like 20 goons, don't think like, man, that's unpushable. Scan his base, check his gateway count to confirm that it is pushable. Because if we scan his base here, we would have seen 3 gates plus 1 building. And then we would know that our 5 factories, as long as we don't lose the initial force for nothing, if we can trade decently with them, we're going to rally from 5 factories. It's going to outpace the 4 gateways eventually. And he didn't have tech either, besides the Reavers. So, yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Hope this was helpful.